Hello and welcome to the Build with Baer Workshop. My name is Pat Baer. I'm here to build a model kit. I'm also here to hang out with you. I'm throwing the Bear Cave Lego site that's here too, blue emote in chat. If you are currently a subscriber, you can reply with those emotes. If you're not yet a subscriber, you can use other people's emotes. You can just say hi. If you want to be a lurker, you can go ahead and lurk. It's a Thursday, and I'm here to hang out and work on a model kit. Work on, specifically, the Reborns Gundam. Hello, Lashbrook. Happy to see you here. Welcome, welcome. Yeah, the Reborns Gundam, which I have begun on Monday's stream, and we're continuing on tonight's stream. Let's see, what else can I say? I'm currently at, boom, 25. Let me get my fingers pointing there. 25 out of 40 subscribers. The goal is to get to 40. I shut up about how many subscribers I have when I hit 40. If you would like to become a subscriber, now would be a great time to do that. If you want to gift a sub, you could do that as well. There is a promotion going on that is still going on for a few more days. Yeah, until the 19th. If you would like 3 months of Apple TV Plus, instead of, buying that for 3 months, instead you could gift a sub to somebody in the community. Or you could subscribe to this channel for the first time. Renewed subs don't get that. It's just the first time subscribers. Or if you wanted to gift a sub. I should say, I don't ever talk about hitting the follow button. If you're watching this right now, hit that follow button. I'm currently at 2,068 followers. I used to be at 2,070. I went from like 68 to 70 like really quick, so I didn't get to Saver 2069. So I become a follower on here. That'd be cool. You don't have to. You don't have to do anything, really. You can just hang out. All right, let's see. Is there anything else I need to say right before we got going? I don't know. I don't think so. Yeah, all right. Yeah, let's get going. Boom. Overhead camera. Here we are. We've got, hey, Lord Crashington, welcome, welcome. We got the Reborns Gundam right here. You can see right there, we have the chest and the head done. We have some of the backpack done, which includes the other head. So we got that going. Lord Crashington wants me to dance button using channel points right at the bat, off the bat, at the top of the stream, and I will do that in a second. But yeah, we got with the other head, we got the backpack going here with the booster. There'll be more to build with that later. We built the weapons. Why do we build weapons before we build hands? I don't know. That's just how they did it. Thank you for using your channel points for me to hit the dance button. Here's the dance button. Yeah. Little dance music. All right, we're working on the shoulders now. We got that part done. We got the shield. The shield also has parts that pop out like that, which is neat. And we got the gun, which has the little part here because you put your hand there and then it links in underneath. And it will keep this part of the gun stable, which is nice for a kit to have some stability built in. That is fun, so it won't wiggle wobble in the hand. It may make so the hand doesn't want to bend, for posing as you would like, but it'll still be good. Let's see. Okay, so we got that together. Yeah, we're working on the shoulders here. We can do them all at the same time, so we'll get all the parts we need for that, and then start putting the shit together. We got the both of the C's here are seemingly identical. There's a couple parts here. Yeah, this is identical. So what's good for one is good for to other. So we'll get into that. I hope you're doing well on this fine Thursday. Yesterday, I did a lot of lawn mowing. We had so much rain the previous week and a half that it took a very long time for things to get dry enough. So I went out and mowed the front yard and the backyard and our side yards, and it was a lot of lawn mowing, but it's done. I don't have to think about it anymore for a little while, which is great. We had no real damage from all of the rain. Tomato plants aren't doing particularly great. There was some junk on some of the trees above it that fell just due to the branches being heavy because of all the rain. We didn't really get bad wind or anything. Other parts of the area did get some of that, but we didn't see any of that. So It's mostly just, oh yeah, there was a lot of rainfall and stuff got shaken loose. So a few of the vines broke on the tomatoes. The patios are doing fine. The cherry tomatoes are not doing particularly great. But they did get a lot of water, and the temperature was a little down. Temperature's rising again as things warm up, which makes sense. But that's just it's all part of it, right? It's all part of the process. Just got to figure that stuff out as it comes up. I went for a long walk today, and that was I described that as hot. It was hot out, and a lot of people were doing their lawns as well. So it was just a lot of like people in the streets with their vehicles and stuff. Lawn crews coming in that were doing that, and then so it was just like, yeah, it was just busy and it's like a lot going on, and it was hot, and I didn't want to be out there. But it is what it is. Sometimes it's just like that. I put this on backwards. There should be a polycap here so they can clip on to the chest. So luckily noticed that real early. We didn't continue assembly with this just completely wrong. So that's good. Yeah. So sometimes, hey, it happens. It's fixable. Boom. Put that right there. Turn that over there. Snap those together. Boom. We're good. Connecting. Working. Making it happen. Put that aside. Now we're going to do it all over again, but this time we'll do it with the other pieces that the other arm. That way we can do the other shoulder and get that going. I wanted to talk about this thing. This is being touted, depending on who you talk to, as either a good thing or a terrible thing. But it is a thing that we will be reckoning with in many industries going forward. SAG-AFTRA announced that they struck a deal with a startup called Narrative. Hey, just learned spicy. Welcome. Narrative has no E at the end. So this is the thing. In the last big rounds, the SAG-AFTRA deals that came through, there's a writer's strike and there was the actor's strike, right? One of the things that people walked away from it, a deal that was pretty good and pretty solid and what most people wanted. One thing they came away with was the AI stuff was kind of just like passed on to the next time. It wasn't really handled well. And SAG-AFTRA did seem to take that criticism well. It was one of those things where it was like, it's time for this strike to end. It's time to figure something we can do here. A big talking point was they really fucked up years ago, more than 8 years ago, really, really fucked up on digital. Nobody expected Hulu to be as big as it was because that was one of the only ones at the time. No one expected the digital rights to be something that was so important, and they dropped the ball on it. That and the micro rooms, the idea of that was really bad. That's a writer's thing that I'm not going to get into too hard here. But they said that. So one of the reasons why the voice actors who are part of SAG-AFTRA are on strike right now is because they understand that portion of the Screen Actors Guild / AFTRA, the television side of it, recognize, okay, well, in our business as voice actors, we need to draw a line in the sand and we need to have protections in place and we need to have these deals make a lot of sense. Actors who don't do voiceover for video games, that do voiceover for other things like animation, that do voiceover for commercials, certainly lots of voiceover there, radio, all kinds of things, radio ads specifically, I mean, they're also worried about AI. So SAG-AFTRA was basically like, look, we're going to work upon this. We didn't do a great job with the studios, but we're going to do a great, we're going to strive to make some deals that make sense. This first deal is bad. It's just a bad deal because it should be an all or nothing thing and not well, if you want to do it, here's a way to do it and you could feel better about it. Because generally it puts too much emphasis on individuals and less on the collective activity. So what is it? We'll get into what this is and what it's doing. So SAG-AFTRA has struck a deal with the AI startup. Again, of course, they're all startups, so even including that in this Variety article. This Variety article is going to be pretty positive, and I'm going to be reading some of the positive things they say and then reacting possibly negatively in places, most likely negatively in some places. Is going to set a quote-unquote new standard for ethical use of technology and also make it easy for performers to give consent and get paid. So that last part is doing a lot there, because that's what this deal is. This deal is not necessarily to protect people and their voices going forward. It's to say, well, if they're going to use AI and they're going to take people's voices and make models based on their voices, wouldn't it be better if they were licensing it from a model that you supplied the voice for and got paid to supply that voice? And then if people want to use that model, they'll have to pay a fee. Wouldn't that be better? Yes, Lashbrook. Again, we're talking about this. This has nothing to do with voice acting in video games. That is a separate thing. This, as I'm talking about here, this is for commercial use, which theoretically could be in video games. But when I say commercial, I mean advertising commercial products, not commercial meaning for pay work. This has nothing to do with video games. Some of the people who will be involved in this also do video game voices, but that is a separate thing that is not this. So, Narrative operates a marketplace. They operate an online marketplace where you can go in, just like you can buy assets, in the Unity store. You can. There are places out there that have voices on file, and sometimes those are voice models now, but sometimes those are just a voice. Someone's real, and then you can negotiate through an app to hire that person. In this case, you would be hiring their voice sample likeness. Marketplace offers tools to advertisers to create audio spots using AI tools. So it's taking out the middleman of doing this is basically like, hey, you can use our AI tools to have a voice for your audio in your commercial. So you don't have to hire 3 or 4 people to do the work of this website. The firm's new agreement with SAG-AFTRA promises to give the union's 160,000 members the opportunity to add themselves to a database that connects voice talents to advertisers. The individual members will have the ability to negotiate the use of their voices on a project-by-project basis. So as long as the fee isn't lower than SAG-AFTRA's minimum per its most recent commercial contracts with advertisers. So that is an important thing. Instead of using a AI model that you got from who knows where to create voices that you want, you are licensing the AI voices that are created on this app. And if you wanted, as a performer, you could put your shit up there to then have someone like listen to a bunch of samples, most likely some sort of, whatever, the algorithm, and putting in a search, and you're like, oh, I want a voice like this, like this, like this. Okay, here's the sample pack. All right, you know what? Let's try to negotiate with this person. It is attempting to solve a problem, but it is doing it in a very inelegant way. Instead of saying, hey, if you want to work with SAG-AFTRA employees, don't use AI for voices, which is the line in the sand. This is not a line in the sand. This is well, you're going to use AI anyway, so what if you used it with our approval? And it does set minimums. Now, I think to know this, not everybody knows this, and it's okay that you don't, because it's all complicated and bullshit, and one could argue shouldn't exist. Not every commercial that you see is a union-made commercial. Even on television, if you were watching a television ad, you could be watching a national television ad, and it's not a union work. there are a bunch of loopholes that people used to get out of union work because they're like, oh, well, we already did so many union contracts, so now we're just going to do this out of the union. Or, oh, well, we did this internationally, and that you know, we had to negotiate these things. Like, there are a bunch of bullshit that people use to get out of it. But not every ad on radio and television, and especially online, not all those are through the union. So this is not protecting talent outside of that, of course. But it is saying if you go through this website, you will be able to make contracts with that. So in negotiations, these are the things that they have been able to make work here, supposedly. Let's panel line this while I'm looking at this. Informed consent is the thing, right? It's not just like you upload this stuff, it goes out there, and then you find out later. This is not the same thing as like if you license a photo to a place and then it ends up in an ad or something like that, which happens, or your work wanted to take your photo and then somehow that got uploaded to a service and now is being used in ads or anything like that. It is not that kind of work. This is like on a per case by case basis, which is good, but again, a lot of this stuff is not great. And the way that Duncan Crabtree Ireland, who is the chief negotiator for SAG-AFTRA, says, not all members will be interested in taking advantage of the opportunities that licensing their digital voice replicas might offer, and that's understandable. So again, this is just blatantly coming from the wrong place, in my opinion. Instead of going forward with, well, they're going to steal your voice and try to do things without paying you, so contracts like this are important. Instead, it's just like, hey, we understand that some people won't want to, but for those who do, now you have a safe option. And again, that should be in quotes. Feels like contracts today are written in the sand. Well, I mean, so like some of it is that there are all these tricks and stuff like that. But here's the thing. If you sign a contract for a union gig and then you break the terms of that contract, that is something people don't want to do. So it's how do I get this thing made without it being a commercial? I did a gig years ago. I got asked, hey, Pat, do you want to be on, we have this bit that we want to show for Jimmy Fallon. This is the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon, not Late Night Tonight Show. And I was like, oh, cool. I've done some bits for that before. No problem. So this will be a union gig and all that. Yeah, it's a union gig and blah, blah, and here are the things and all that. And I get there, and it's not at the studio. We met at the studio, and then we got in a van. And then we took that van to a location. And I was like, oh, this is cool. They don't really do this that often. And it was throughout the course of the day doing this bit that I start to realize, and I mentioned to someone else, I'm like, this isn't for the Jimmy Fallon show, is it? And they're like, oh, it might be. I don't know. It doesn't feel like it is. And it wasn't. So I got paid my full price, knowing that it wasn't gonna air on television. It wasn't going to air on TV at all. So even though it was a SAG-AFTRA gig because it was the Tonight Show, I wasn't going to get any residuals because it wasn't going to repeat because it wasn't going to air on television. And it was an under 5. I think I had one line. So it was a bit of money, but for how many hours it took, come to find out, it was going to air occasionally at a stadium. Some stadium was advertising, the team was advertising, like a New York Stadium was advertising through and had done this promotional deal where they were doing all this. And in return, Jimmy Fallon was doing a bit that would air before one of these sporting events. I don't know which one. I never found out which one because it wasn't specific about football or baseball or anything. It was just like, people drinking in a bar and then it would go too far or whatever. And it was like, whatever. It was whatever. And I'm sure there was another bit that I didn't see and all of that. So instead of hiring actors, paying them for a commercial, going through that route, instead they got extras and background people who thought they were going to be on television to agree to do this bit that never aired on television. So never saw a dime from that after the first payment. And I should have gotten paid every time they aired it, or there should have been more money because I wasn't ever going to get paid again. And you're like, well, Pat, why didn't you just fucking complain or walk away? And because they fucking got me. Because what am I going to do? Tell the person that reached out to me, hey, I would love to be on Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon. I would prefer not to do the bullshit you pulled on me. Because guess what? They're never going to call me again. Because now I'm on their do not call list. Because I complained. And it fucking sucks. And I'm also a person that wasn't in the union. I don't know if anyone else on that shoot complained. I could have complained because even though I'm not part of the union, it was a union gig and I was still getting represented through the union. So I could have complained about it. But then what the fuck do I do next? Like, if I am in a position where I am getting called in for auditions all the time, at that point I wasn't. The fact that they called me in for it was huge. But like, it sucks. It's one of those things that just like, there's no way around it. It just fucking sucked. And there were there was no one on set for it, for representing, because they don't do that so much with the after side of it. The SAG side of it certainly does. And it was just one of those things where you're like, okay, well, this is shitty. I remember years before that, I was doing, I think it was like $100 for a couple hours and like lunch, doing a favor for some friends at College Humor. I am in the background of like about 10 to 15 College Humor videos. A couple times with lines. Sometimes I was a major part in it. But a lot of times they'd be like 50 or $100 and food. And I would say yes, because my friends were doing it. I knew that if one of my, two of the three directors for all their stuff was somebody that somebody I knew. So I knew they put me on camera. And it was fun little business. And then sometimes people would be like, hey, Pat, I saw you in a College Humor video. And it was fun. Because also, I would never like postpone or cancel something to do it. But if I was available, I would just do it because that was fun. It was a fun little bit of business. One time we were on set and it's, we're doing these things and there's a joke about a product. It was, I can't remember what it was. It was a joke about something. It might have been Mike's Hard Lemonade. It was something. And it was some kind of gag about Mike's Hard Lemonade. And at one point, one guy on the set goes, who has lines and is there and is being paid, goes, is this sponsored? And he's fucking pissed off. He's so fucking pissed off. And he's just like, wait. Is this sponsored? Tell me the fucking truth. Yes, this is a sponsored ad by Mike's Hard Lemonade. So that's why Mike's Hard is in it, but isn't the butt of the joke and doesn't really have anything to do with it and just kind of shoehorned in. And he goes, okay, well then we have to stop doing I have to stop now. And I have to call my rep. Because this person was doing them a favor. He was doing a comedy sketch for Peanuts as a favor to them, but he was someone that was in the union and had representation. And he's like, yeah, I don't give my manager a cut, or my agent a cut of this, but this is a commercial. And so we had to stop what we were doing, and that guy had to get on the phone, and then they had to talk to the director, and the director, in the meantime, the AD had called corporate, the people that owned College Humor at the time and their contacts to figure out what was going on with this, and then negotiate all of these things. And basically, the agreement they came to is they had to pay this guy a whole lot more money to do it, to finish the day, because they already filmed some stuff. And like, it was one of those things where it was like, and everyone was just like, yeah, yeah. And he's just like, and the thing about that ad was, Mike's Hard was not in the copy. There was no mention of it. It was not in it. It was just like a bunch of shots just had Mike's Hard Lemonade in there. And at one point, there was a line about two characters toasting, and they toasted with Mike's Hard Lemonade. And it was a thing where it was just like, oh yeah, you can't do this I can't do this if you're going to be like this. And they negotiate and go back and forth. And it was one of those things where it's like, I hadn't seen that before. And I was like, oh yeah, everybody here. And you're like, well, why did they do that, Pat? Why didn't they come clean? Well, because they were told to do that, and nobody wants to fucking lose their job. And the hope was that the person who freaked out about it wasn't going to freak out. Even if they figured it out, they would deal with it later, and they would make good when that person complained or was like, or figured it out, or they would never have saw it, because who the fuck sees it? And it wouldn't have been a big deal. But no, they made a point to be fucking pissed off about it, which they had every right to be pissed off about it, because it was like, oh no, it's like that person was a spokesman for like a thing. And he was like, I can't do this. Like, he was like, it's like, I might lose the thing that is paying my rent for a day shoot for friends. Like, what are we doing here? A couple years after that, I am in a College Humor video that was sponsored by Mike's Hard Lemonade. And I remember the copy came in because I had like 15 lines. So they were going to pay me a good little amount of money. And I remember they told me specifically, like, hey, if you are a union member and you like, this video is a not endorsement, but it's a paid thing by Mike's Hard Lemonade. If you are a union member and you have anything in any of your contracts that say you can't be involved with alcohol, let us know. So a couple years later, they were doing better about that. But I just remember that at the time just being like, oh, wow, yeah. Yeah, fuck it. All right, yeah, these are my friends, but like, they're still, everybody's trying to do their job, and some of that is kind of skirting around it. All of that to say, the ethical and ethics keep showing up, or ethical and ethically keep showing up in this article, and it's terrible. The union emphasized the deal was approved by its national executive community. So this deal was not voted by the majority. It was just voted by the committee for doing this partnership here. SAG-AFTRA and Narrative, I should say, are setting a new standard for ethical use of AI-generated voice replicas in digital advertising, which is their big statement. And then the marketplace features allows performers to list their personal preferences and other details to guide potential advertisers. So basically, you can set up a profile and you're just like, I don't want my voice to be used to sell this kind of thing, like political ads or whatever. Every ad created for the platform will generate a pension and healthcare contribution for the performers. So that is in line with standard money, so you'll be taxed on it and it'll go to those things. Like, that's standard. Basically, they are setting up an AI marketplace company to be able to make contracts that are union friendly, which, instead of saying, hey, you can't ever use any voices for anyone that is a union, that is a member of a union, it is saying, well, now you get union contracts if people want to put their fucking voice up there. And then if you are using someone's voice and then you want to use it again, that's built into the contract. If you want to make more ads based on that, that's built into the contract. Now, from what I know of personal experience, I do not fucking trust commercial agencies to actually abide by those things. I think they will say, oh no, in the fine print, it says we can make more. It doesn't say that in fine print or whatever. Like, I don't trust any of these agencies to actually do what they're saying here. but we'll fucking see, I guess. I guess we'll fucking find out in the future if that's actually going to be a thing. But I'm not necessarily expecting this to go the way that it is certainly being pitched at currently. It just doesn't pass the smell test to me, is what I am saying. But who knows? Maybe it will. Maybe it's all good, and these are good ways that this is working out. Who knows? Structure ensures fair compensation and transparency. Brands must secure consent for performers to use every use of their digital voice replica in an ad, while offering an engagement to a performer. A producer must identify the product or service that is being promoted. You'll find that sometimes in things when you audition for commercials and such like that. Sometimes they won't tell you anything about the ad until you show up for the read, because quote unquote secrecy, or also because it's something that maybe you would be morally opposed to, and they don't want people to not show up for auditions. They want to make it difficult for you to not do it. Like I said, if I had been told when I did that bit for Fallon, this will not air on television, this is a one-time payment for questionable how many times they'll use it at a sporting at a stadium, and we won't tell you what stadium it is, I might have said no thank you. But instead I went to it because I was told that it was a bit for Jimmy Fallon, which it was, just not for Jimmy Fallon on TV. And again, that is the example I use there because it was fucking fucked. Let's see. If an advertiser does not align with the performer's preferences, or they don't like the copy, they can easily deny the request. That is clearly not enforceable, because they could just say, oh, the script changed. Once we got your voice samples, the script changed and we went a different direction. Oh yeah, the script you read and approved, because shooting scripts are always different, and that will change as well. And once they have the AI model, they can just change whatever the fuck they want about it. So the fact that they're like, oh yeah, you can say all you want. Like, yeah, sure. What happens if the commercial's out and you're like, that's what the fuck just happened here? What did you do? Yeah, good luck having any recourse in that. This one will be, yes, this will be one that respects everyone's rights and value, indeed. Basically, I know I'm a bit of a broken record here, but this is bad. This is not a good place to start from. I know that a lot of people who want to make money doing these things are looking at it from are seeing it in a positive light. I am certainly not one of those people. I think this is a poor direction and a poor stance. The majority of SAG-AFTRA members who were approving of the last contracts were saying the one area you're failing us in right now is this. And it's not, hey, we need to make it easier for people to do, quote unquote, do it the right way. The thing that they have heard from numerous people is, we got to stop this shit. Because this is saying, hey, you're going to use AI voices. You better be paying us and have us have consent and have it be ethical. And a good majority of SAG-AFTRA members are saying, no. You should be saying, hey, if you want to do this, fuck off. You can't. Eat shit. You can't have a SAG-AFTRA contract if you are using AI in any way, shape, or form on people's likenesses or anything like that. It should be if you do extra work and they want you to sign off something where they'll give you a flat fee now to reuse your likeness and future backgrounds, you say fuck no, and you call your SAG-AFTRA reps and you talk to someone at SAG-AFTRA because they're fucking around. Like, that is what people are saying here. And the response from SAG is like, well, we got to figure out how to do this ethically and make sure everyone's getting paid. And it's like, okay, no, we're actually asking for you to draw a line in the sand. Oh, you clearly don't want to draw a line in the sand. You want to like figure out how this can benefit people. And yeah, people need to get paid. People want to get paid, and people should get paid for this kind of stuff. But it feels like these are the concessions you make after a long period of time, not the first concessions you make. These feel like later concessions of like, oh, we're going to ease it up and we kind of got to rev them for all this. Besides the fact that AI, as we talk about it, as we think about it, is a fucking dead end. And hey, here's a fun thing. What the fuck happens to everybody's voices when narrative goes under? Because it's a startup. So it's most... Like, what happens when narrative sells? When they run out of VC funding? And turns out the technology isn't where they thought it was going to be, because of course it isn't. And when they don't have anything, like, what do they do then? What happens to all of those contracts? Do those contracts become null and void? Do those contracts get honored at other places? Does everybody's work that they uploaded, suddenly the terms of service change and everything you uploaded is now, owned by whatever company picks up narrative when it inevitably fails, because the first people they're partnering with these contracts is a fucking startup? There's so much that can go wrong here. And the idea that they're encouraging anyone to upload their voice and have this company be a middleman when we don't fuck all about them is unfortunately completely like within the realm. And like, I'm totally not something I'm like, yeah, of course. Couple video game things. As far as I can tell, we didn't have any major layoffs since Monday's stream, which is nice. Yeah, we actually had some acquisitions, which could lead to layoffs. Yeah, David, yes. W Discovery buys up the database to use it for God knows what. Sure, yeah. Sure. But yeah, as far as I can see, we haven't had any. We did have Reforged Studios, I should say, had double acquisition. They brought Ground Shatter and Extra Mile. Reforged Studios are a developer / publisher. And they acquired 2 UK studios, Extra Mile, or it also went by EM Studios, and Ground Shatter. Reforged was started up last year. And Ground Shatter made Fights in Tight Spaces. So the Fights in Tight Spaces people, or Fights in Tight Spaces, have been acquired. And Extra Mile is probably best known for being a co-developer on the Broken Sword series for Revolution Software. And apparently Reforged is saying they are going to be acquiring other studios. This is the first 2 of the year. And then, of course, this is from game developers, so there's some... Everybody seems pretty cool. Apparently, according to the game plan, the studios will maintain creative control, and their parent company is basically going to take, resources, give them resources, not take resources, give them resources, and then, take a nice big cut. And then over time, we'll find out what that means. They just announced a new remake of one of the Broken Sword games. Yes, I did see that. So yeah, look, acquisitions sometimes are what keeps studios afloat, because otherwise they are in a rough position, especially right now where it is more and more difficult to find funding for indie developers, and self-funding is a pipe dream for a lot of people. So on that regard, that sounds pretty good. What will this actually translate to? Will this actually translate to, the studios have to have a bunch of layoffs because suddenly payroll is hard to make? I don't know. We will find out, and hopefully it's good news. But yeah, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, sure. Hopefully this works out for people. We always hope that. All right, and then this is gonna go in like this. These are, every part of this kit is like a couple extra steps than you need, and a couple and some weird choices. And I don't dislike it, but it is constantly surprising me. Every part of this build is just like a new weird thing. All right, but I panel lined that ahead of time, and I'm glad I did because it'll be hard to get in there when I need to do other stuff. And then I guess we'll continue working on the arm here. I need some C and some D pieces here. So we'll keep going with the arm. But yeah, these arms are complicated in interesting ways. I think that's partially because of the way the kit works, how it like turns around and the other mode and stuff. So it's a little strange. So that news was good. And then one thing that was kind of fun, this was a kind of a roundup of some stuff over on Kotaku. It starts with the notice that after a recent update, Civilization 6 on Steam no longer requires the 2K Games launcher to play. And Civ 7 won't have to use that launcher. So even if you bought the game on Steam, it still launched the 2K Games launcher to make things work. And that is apparently not going forward and not on Civ 6. And it seems like that is the last couple of years, EA particularly, but also other companies have pulled back from the, well, hey, we have our own game launcher bullshit, which was everybody from like Take-Two doing it to EA, as I said. Yeah, so 2K and Firaxis were like, Civ 6 isn't going to do that. Kerbal, the original Kerbal Space Program had an update this summer that took care of its launcher, which was not in the original version, and they put it in there. It Takes Two it does not have the EA game launcher anymore. And one of the reasons, folks, I don't know if this is the only reason, but if you're like, well, Pat, why are people taking them away? One of the reasons is, honestly, that why old games are getting it removed is, one, it didn't lead to additional sales to a publisher, and it has costs associated with running it, and they were not making money off of it. That's the big one. And two, they were tired of people saying their game was bad because it didn't work well on the Steam Deck. Because, of course, if you have another launcher, that makes it difficult for it to just plug and play, work on a device that is very popular with a lot of people, and having it not work was very frustrating to people. So the solution to that is, well, now you don't have to worry about that. We figured out a way to make that so it's cool now. Everything's going to work out just fine. Which is great for consumers. But hopefully more people will go that route and start ditching their. And it as mentioned in this article, one of the reasons why it was frustrating was it was just a weird requirement that didn't benefit consumers in any way. It was just extra stuff. Like if you buy a game on Steam and then you have to have a separate launcher to make it work, it didn't make sense. And consumers were rightfully annoyed about that. And to me, one thing that I always thought about that was like, yeah, like if you had like discounts or something, or there were like DLC would come early if you had the launcher or anything that would benefit people, there could be a case made for it. But there never was anything like that because there was never an actual benefit to having EA's launcher for a game you bought on Steam having to be available. One of the worst was you had the game up, you updated the game was running, everything was working fine, everything was good, and then you like get everything together, and they're like, okay, cool, and then the EA launcher had to take an update before you could play the game, and it's just like, what? That's got nothing to do with me. Get out of here. What the fuck? Why aren't you updating? Why do I have to wait now? I want to play my game. It could be pretty fucking frustrating. So now it'll be less frustrating. Hooray. Let's see if there's any other gaming news here. It seems like a pretty chill evening here on the old stream as far as chat goes. But I know that I did spend like 40 minutes ranting about AI. So I do apologize for that. But yeah, I know I had a bunch of that. What the fuck? That's weird. Dragon Age has a release date. The next Dragon Age game is coming to PC, PlayStation 5, and Xbox Series X on wait, what's going on here? Oh yeah, on October 31st. So Halloween, we're getting that. And that is just short of 10 years from the previous Dragon Age. Just so they're especially excited for that. Hell yeah. But yeah, so the previous Dragon Age game, 10-year anniversary is November 18th. So a couple weeks ahead of that, hey, you get the next one, which is wild. But yeah, it's coming to PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, and PC. Day and date seems like. But yeah, I thought the trailer looked neat. That's cool. What do I want to say here? Oh, this is a weird story. The Legacy of Kain games are getting a port. The Legacy of Kain collection are going to be on a retro handheld, the Evercade. So they're going to have an official port on the Evercade, which plays basically like it plays new cartridges of old games. Blood Omen, Legacy of Kain, and Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver, which I do want to mention, you can't play Soul Reaver like anywhere legally, like any modern console legally, but you will be able to play it on the Evercade. And it did get a whole, they talk about it at San Diego Comic-Con. And they didn't know what Crystal Dynamics was like. Yeah, here we go. Also, this device, the Evercade, cost $100. You can play the first game for $1. If you don't want to play Soul Reaver and you just want to play Legacy of Kain, the first Legacy of Kain game, you can play that on GOG for $1. Soul Reaver was removed from Steam in 2021, and the original game has never been available on modern platforms. Soul Reaver 2, Blood Omen 2, and Legacy of Kain Defiance are still also available to play on PC. And as mentioned in this article, probably eventually those games will come in a package to Steam or GOG or something. But right now, the only way to play those in their remaster is to have a $100 device. And I gotta wonder if Evercade just gave Crystal Dynamics a bunch of fucking money. Money had to fucking change hands for this because it's such a weird thing. I saw a comment on this that I saw online. Someone just said, so, I mean, I guess it worked because now I know what an Evercade is. was like, yeah. You don't want to give people the best of intentions, but sometimes, sometimes sometimes you can smell it. You just go, oh, okay, that's what we're doing here, huh? All right. Um, apparently, Valve is saying, hey, we hear you. We understand what you're saying when it comes to reviews. This is not about review bombing. This is not about negative, things that are said, people who are not playing the games, doing all that kind of stuff. No, I'm not talking about that. Uh, Valve is like, hey, one word, we're cracking down on one word user reviews. The joke, basically like some of which are, in jest, but some of which are just memes. Like some people just like to meme, and basically they're saying, no, we can't have that. Valve is changing how it sorts and displays user reviews on Steam in an attempt for the company to hide all the joke reviews and memes that are flooding the digital storefront. Let's see. In recent years, Steam store pages have been flooded by joke reviews that are basically useless. On August 14th, Valve published a news blog about the plans to update Steam's reviews in an effort to make them more helpful. They say their primary goal of Steam reviews is to help potential players make informed decisions. Currently, a system of players vote on which reviews are helpful isn't working. Because that's the idea, right? That the helpful ones, like if you make a review and it's good, then it'll trickle to the top. Yes, now Valve can finally get rid of all the Nazis on their platform. Yes, Lord Crasher. Clearly, that'll be the next step. The next step right below this will be, and we're also going to fucking figure out how to get rid of our Nazi problem. So apparently, fan voting up, like people voting up helpful reviews, isn't working the way that Valve would want it to. So their next step is to then try to get rid of, in their minds, unhelpful reviews. One-word reviews comprised of assy art, or reviews that are primarily playful memes and in-jokes will now be considered unhelpful and will be sorted behind other reviews on the game store page. And of course, one would assume that if you have a long diatribe about how this game is made for for what blank went woke, that isn't a meme. So those reviews will be surfaced more than here is a in-joke about this game because the character kind of reminds us of something else. So they're just, in my opinion, fixing the wrong problem. But okay. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. Valve clarifies that players might still see humorous but unhelpful reviews, but the goal is that they show up far less often when people are just trying to learn more about the game. And to that I say, people are never going to be... People do not use that like that. They look at aggregates. They look at... If people are looking at those numbers, they are looking at, okay, how many people have liked this game? How many people rate this game positively? Okay. But I don't think, maybe I'm wrong, I don't think most people that go to Steam reviews are looking at anything besides the percentage numbers. I don't know if they're looking and go, ooh, well, this person has a 3-paragraph opinion on the guns and the gun feel. I'm going to read this. Like, I don't think they are. I think at most they're looking to go, oh yeah, I get that. I know that meme. Oh, that's fun. Like, I just don't think that they're going in there looking for the things that Valve is trying to highlight. I think there's a losing problem. The example that this Kotaku article has is an essay of two people giving up the middle finger, or two hands giving up the middle finger and saying, fuck Epic Store. Because apparently that game, had a whatever game this was must have had a window of just coming out on the Epic Store. So this person decided the best way to be to say fuck you, Epic. Reminder, friends. If it's on the Epic Store for a while, that means that Epic gave them a bunch of money, and maybe that game you're really excited about wouldn't have come out yet because Steam wasn't going to give them a bunch of money to work on their game, and who knows if it would have happened otherwise. It's probably, I would say, fairly unlikely that people are just like, well, our game is done, and we have all this money. We had all this money to make our game, and we can put it out wherever. Oh, let's take this exclusive deal with Epic for no reason. Generally, people don't limit themselves about where their games can be. They try not to do that unless they absolutely need to, like in the case of fully funding their video game. But I know you know that. Let's see. How will Valve identify unhelpful reviews? Reviews will be marked unhelpful using Steam moderators, user reports, and some machine learning algorithms. Oh, good. So AI is just going to look for ANSI art, right? Like AI is just going to look for that, I guess. AI, somebody's job will be to tell the model what the new memes are. Our team has found that a lot of unhelpful reviews are easy to spot. So we're targeting those first. This is a work in progress and will likely take quite a while for our team to evaluate the existing reviews and newly posted reviews. And you might be wondering, why even leave those up? Yeah, I mean, I did wonder that. Like, well, if you're saying these reviews aren't helpful and they're not helpful to the site and they're not helpful to the people, then why leave them up at all? Many players want to express an opinion about the game, but they don't always have the right words to do so. So it says these sillier reviews are still valuable data, even if they aren't traditional reviews. Sure. You know what? Yeah, there are some people that can't articulate their thoughts in written word and therefore use memes in order to communicate. But then why are you devaluing that over other reviews where people are writing things? You can't make us, yeah. You can still do your silly reviews, but now people won't have to scroll through 200 of them making the same joke to see if a game is good or not. But again, I postulate that people are not reading reviews at all anyway. They are reading aggregates. They are looking and going, oh, very positive. Oh, mostly positive. Oh, mixed. Oh, the last 24 hours. Hey, this game is getting review bombed. I wonder why. Why is it, why are people suddenly like, what happened to that made was, oh, there was a recent update and no one likes that update. Like, I think those things are still valuable to find out, but I am just of the opinion that I don't necessarily think that anyone actually scrolls through there going like, I'd like to see what a bunch of people I don't know said about this thing, other than, like I said, the aggregate and looking at that kind of thing, which can be very valuable to look through. So who knows? Maybe I'm fucking completely wrong. I'm completely off the rails here. I'm looking, I'm not understanding the how people use Steam and all of that. Cause yeah, like I listen to podcasts to hear people that I think are very intelligent talking about games, talking about those games. I watch YouTube videos about stuff. I watch streamers talk about those things. I get like that kind of a thing I think is very helpful and beneficial to me to kind of figure that out. Like listening to actual British people talking about a British humor game is interesting to me. Or that horror game that's out on the oil rig, and like listening to people who are of Irish descent or spend a lot of time in Ireland, Irish folks talking about that game is really beneficial and interesting. But like, I don't know. I don't see myself. I get, here it is. I can speak for myself when I say, I don't fucking go and look at Steam user reviews, and I'm sure there are people who do it, but I think those people need to find other ways to find out some stuff. Like how Dan missed all of the sexy jokes in Thank Goodness You're Here. Yeah, I mean, sometimes you don't see that stuff because you don't have any context for it, or if you are not, you know, just on our spaces, I don't read any reviews. Yeah, I mean, sometimes I read long form reviews like, hey, you know what I like reading? I like reading reviews of people who are so fucking pissed off that they had to go and watch the Borderlands movie. That shit's fun to read because it's short. Those are short reads. Um, Cameron Lauder from Loading Ready Run just did a movie review of that movie for Checkpoint. And it's obviously a video review, not a written review. But like, I loved him describing a canyon fight scene where two characters who don't trust each other work together, and juxtaposing that versus Fury Road, and how Fury Road pushes it and the other one is just jokes, and they end the scene where you're like, why would these two characters continue to work together? And it's a fun juxtaposition that, even though I've seen one of those movies but not the other, like, it's still very valuable to me to watch that and to hear that criticism. I think criticism of like terrible things can be really enjoyable, but I am not looking for like, here's what 15 people said about this video game. Like, I'm just not, that's not something that I'm interested in checking out. Last person says, I do look at Steam reviews on occasion, mainly for like performance issues and the like. Yeah, I think sometimes you can Google a thing and it will take you to a Steam page and you can look at that. And I'm like, yeah, that makes some sense. Lower Crash says, I usually only look at reviews when I'm trying to figure out if a game is a Vampire Survivors clone, and the page isn't clear about that. Weird shit. Yeah, okay. And if it's a small game that doesn't have a lot of critical, you couldn't find anybody talking about it on a podcast or any of the sites you go to that still have review coverage or preview coverage, you didn't see anything like there, and you're like, well, like, I don't know, does anyone have an opinion on Odada? Is that even how you pronounce the name, Odada? Or Adada? I don't know how to pronounce that game. I do know that I'm going to be playing that game next Tuesday, and I don't know how to pronounce it because the review or the coverage copy that I got does not include a guide on how to pronounce Oddada. Is it Odada or Adada? I don't know. I'm going to watch a developer video on it and see if someone says the name. Got to email the dev. Yes, I also could do that. I could ask the person that sent me the code for it. I could ask them like, hey, how do I pronounce this? I'm going to be streaming it. I am streaming that game next Tuesday. It is like a rogue. It's called it a roguelike music builder. I don't know. It's some kind of song building thing. It seems kind of neat. I'm going to be checking that game out, and I'm also going to be checking out Gordlets, which I played the demo of on our demo day, the Steam Next Fest demo day. I played Gordlets, and I really liked it. Both those games are small. I think Gordlets is like $5 on Steam. I believe both of them came out today. So I'm going to look at those next Tuesday, but I'm going to look at them together because they're both kind of shorter things where I don't know if I would be playing them for 2 hours each, but it'll be fun to play about an hour for each of them. So that's the idea, is an hour in one, we switch, we'll play an hour the other, give or take. Jam to subscribe with Prime for 78 months. Thank you so much, Jam. I appreciate that very much. Let's throw the Bear Cave Lego site tier 2 blue emote in chat and thank Jam for that. Appreciate you. Thank you. We're at 26 subscribers. The goal is to get to 40. I shut up at 40. If you would like to become a subscriber, that's the easiest way to support what I do here, because this is the Pause for the Cause, where I talk about ways you can support the channel. Everything I'm going to mention here is optional. You don't have to do any of these things, but if you would like to, I'd love it. I'll try to get through this fast because there's not a lot of you here tonight. Excuse me. Oof, sorry. So as mentioned, becoming a subscriber, easiest way to support what I do here through Cash Money or the Prime Gaming Token. Like Jam, just use Prime. So if you have Amazon Prime linked with your Twitch account, you can do that. Also, if you gift a sub, gift subs always a way to support what I do here to somebody in the community. You get 3 months of Apple TV Plus with your gifted sub, or if you subscribe to the channel for the first time, you get that as well. What? No, shut up. What? Sorry. This email is very annoying. I'll have to deal with this later. I'm not going to link my accounts. Get out of here. Sorry. That just made me mad. I'll deal with that later after the stream. Gifting subs, bits and coins, always appreciated. You're already here on Twitch. If you want to support what I do here, you want to get cool emotes by being a subscriber and help me out, I would appreciate that very much. There are other ways to support what I do here. That's just the one that is the easiest because you're already here on Twitch. If you would like to help me out on Patreon, you could always go to my Patreon at patreon.com/PatBaer. Reminder, don't use Patreon's app. That is a bad thing. You do not want to do that. You want to go to patreon.com/PatBaer on a website. If you're on your phone, go use it on Chrome or Safari or Firefox. Don't use the app. Don't use Patreon's app to become a member at the $1, $3, $5, or $10 tier. There are different rewards for the different tiers, and if you want to save that money, you do it. Don't use the app because they will eventually charge you more. They won't retroactively charge you more, but they will in the future charge you more, and it's just better. Also, Patreon's app sucks, so you shouldn't use that, but you should support me on Patreon. I have a YouTube channel at youtube.com/PatBaer. Over on my YouTube, you should subscribe because it's free. If you want to become a member, that's $2 a month. You get my Wednesday videos on Tuesday. So you would have seen the video that I posted for everybody yesterday about Ossan, one of the best anime of all time. I posted about that on a video that I'll talk about in a second. But you would have gotten that video on Tuesday. So yeah, I don't know. You get over on YouTube. Those are monthly ways to support me. If you want to do a one-time donation so that I can buy model kits and all of that, you can, like a tip jar. I do have a Ko-Fi and a PayPal. Everything I make through direct donations like that, through YouTube, which includes AdSense. So watching my videos helps me out. Through Patreon and through Twitch, all goes into a fund. And from that fund, I take money out to buy model kits. I have a backlog of kits that I will be happy to build on stream. I'm ready to build the next one when this kit is done. But the Gundam 00 was actually bought off. This is not from Gundam 00. This is the Reborns Gundam. Was bought off my Amazon wish list. So if you would like to buy something and have it appear on the stream, jump the queue, become the next thing I build, because that's the least I could do, and also get a dedicated video on my YouTube channel called a mailbag video about the thing you purchased, well, go and check out this list. I've got inexpensive kits. I've got expensive kits. I got kits that are on sale, kits that never seem to fucking go on sale, all kinds of different stuff. Inexpensive kits, expensive kits, Lego, model kits, knockoff Lego. Yeah, let's see. What is that thing? All right, now I've got the Niffles Bryonic building model toy, which is it is a knockoff Lego mech, and I am interested in building that. That is for $25. At some point, I will get that, but you could get that and make me build whatever the fuck that is. But yeah, I got model kits and Lego sets. I got all kinds of stuff on there. Inexpensive, expensive stuff that always seems to be fluctuating in price, and stuff that never is. Oh, there's a figurized kit. The Black Wargreymon model kit, the figurized kit, is on sale. It's 10% off when it was before. That's nice. That's a good little price right there. And I got some gear at the bottom because maybe you want to support what I do here, but you do not have any idea what you would buy for me to build. You can see if something there would be something that you would like to see me put together in the future. Ooh, this is a cute Lego set. Sorry, every once in a while I get recommended a Lego set, and I'm like, ooh, I want to build that. It is a Lego City race car and car carrier. So it's a little race car that sits on a flatbed truck. And that looks really neat, and the colors are very cool, and I'm adding that to my wish list. That's a cool little thing. Lego City has some neat stuff. So yeah, a new thing just got added. But yeah, if you want to see me build that stuff, you can take a look at my wish list. Um, there's an alternative that I have a wish list on Throne, so you can see if that is something that you would rather do. Go to my Throne wish list, pick up something there, because it's nice to have alternatives to Amazon. Also, USA Gundam Store. If you want to go to USA Gundam Store, you could buy a gift card there. They will send you an email with the gift card code, and then you get that email. You get that gift card code. Then you send me an email, or you send me a whisper on Twitch, or a DM on Twitter, or a DM on Blue Sky, a DM on I don't know, Mastodon. Various ways to do that. If you want to do that, you could send me a gift card code, and then I will buy something for USA Gundam Store. People have done it. It is a thing. It's a fucking thing. All right. What else? What else can I say? If you want to support me and not spend any money, you can join my Discord. My Discord is full of cool people. You're more than welcome to come hang out there. This is a encouragement to folks that are watching the stream right now. If you're watching the stream or the VOD and you're in the Discord and you're working on anything, a Lego set, a model kit, you're doing some painting of whatever, you put together some IKEA furniture, I want to see some photos. The photos section is me and one other person lately. So I would encourage more people to jump in there. A couple video links for you to check out. I will have a new episode of Pat Baer's Anime Club up on Monday. The current episode of Pat Baer's Anime Club that is up is my recommendations for the summer season. We are in full swing here. We are now halfway or more than halfway, depending on what the series is, done with that. So take a look, see if you want to watch some stuff from that. Recommendations for that. And then Kuma Baer is my weekly anime recommendation series. As I mentioned, this week I'm talking about the seminal work of comedy and chill slice of life vibes, Manga. A unbelievably great series, incredibly funny and cute and weird as hell. The manga is worth a read. The anime is worth a watch. You can find it on High Dive, and you can watch me in under a minute try to sell you on the show as part of my shorts. Manga is fucking incredibly great. It's such a joy. So take a look at that video, and then watch some Manga. And if you watched it in the past, watch it again. You're older now. Now you have the context of when Osaka gets introduced, she does a Monza bit because people from Osaka are supposed to be quick-witted. And she's not. Also, that's not her name. That's just the nickname she's given on her first day because they just call her where she's from. For the rest of her fucking life, I guess. It's wild. She's also fucking the best character. Chio is also really good. Tiny, smart girl that has weird pigtails and then occasionally wears a penguin costume a couple times and is very adorable. That's pretty good. There's an initial D reference in it. Good. All right. Well, it's not it's a anime racing thing that is probably initial D reference. Later series do more blatant ones. But that one is very initial D. Okay. Now is the part of the stream where I am gonna we're gonna get into a manga that I have been reading and then an anime that I've been watching, and then we'll talk about what you've been up to. But before that, I need to drink some water. So I'm gonna do that, and we're gonna dramatically transition back to the overhead camera. And we'll do that right now. All right. Good to drink water. I got to drink more of it during streams because I'm just talking for 2 hours straight with almost no breaks. Hey, I've been reading a manga, and I want to talk to you about it. It is called The Frontier Life of the Low-Class Ossan Healer and the Lovely Girl. This is a Kicked series, the Kick/Banished series, style series. At this point, I feel like you are probably familiar with it. If you are not familiar with the subgenre that I'm talking about here, the premise of these are that a person is very good at a job, and people don't fucking recognize that or realize it, and then they leave, and the people that they left, things do not go well for them, and then once they leave, suddenly they eventually end up surrounded by people who really appreciate how good and awesome they are. In this particular instance, we are talking about Rita, who's probably going to be, if it gets a translation for anything, like an anime, it would probably be Reed or Red, but it's Retta. Retta is 30, and he's a healer of like a pretty good, pretty talented group. And they're like, yeah, I mean, you're just a healer and you're fine at it, but you're nothing like special, so we're good. Turns out, there aren't a lot of healers who are adventurers. They usually join the healer guild and they don't do adventuring. So the fact that he does that is rare. And also, he's very talented. But he's like, okay, well, I guess I'll retire and I'll go back to like, I'm going to go to this rural town where nobody knows me. And I'll get a job as a healer. Maybe I can do a solo adventuring. I don't know. I know some magic. Even though I'm a healer, I know some other stuff, and I can fight here and there, so maybe it'll work out. And then, because he doesn't have any family or anything, and nothing really tie him down, on the way, he runs into a young girl who is clearly hurt and won't tell him what's going on about family or anything. Clearly has some trauma. Her name is Mina, and Reed is like, okay, I guess you should come with me, and maybe we'll go to some towns, and maybe along the way we'll find out what's going on with you, and we'll figure some stuff out. He ends up eventually just like kind of taking adopting her, kind of taking a guardianship of her, which she really wants. We find out later that her and her sister were being used, and her sister, who they're not blood related, but they're sisters, decides she's also going to live with Reed. He develops a bit of a harem here, but they're all younger people, and it's not a creepy element to it, but it is there, and it is on occasion a little annoying, because it does stack up. His encounters do stack up. But anyway, along the way, we find out Mina is amplifying his power because he is way stronger than he should be with magic, considering he's a healer. But it turns out she's not really amplifying it. She's just like allowing him to use it more often. He is just overpowered. And the people he was with had no idea that he's so good. Like, he can cure curses and dispel magics and stuff, which people should not be able to do. High-class healers shouldn't be able to do it. He's reunited with a member of his party because the party apparently completely dissolved because they kept getting hurt and spending all their money on healing because they lost their healer. So he meets somebody that did like him there, that did teach him magic at one point, which he can use. And yeah, they save a bunch of elves and make good relationships with... Elves decide that Reed's cool enough that maybe humans aren't all terrible. There might be good humans along with the bad humans because Reed is so cool. There are a bunch of girls that want to get married to him. Is this good? Yeah. I would say that this manga is fine. This is a fine manga. It's not doing anything new or better than anything else. It's not bad. I'm still reading it and enjoying it. There will probably come a period where I'm like, I've read enough of this, you know? Like, there are a few things. There is an encounter coming with the guys from his party who have turned to a life of thievery that I am expecting to see, some kind of comeuppance come more so. And I'm interested in that. Once that comeuppance happens, I don't know if I'm going to keep reading it. Because every once in a while, stories just get a little boring, get a little rote. Sometimes I feel like mangaka don't always, like they have plans if it's not based on a light novel as an original work, but they don't always expect, I don't think any mangaka expects I'm going to have 100 chapters to tell this story. It would be neat. I just don't think they ever anticipate having all of that. So I think sometimes it's just there's a manga, Lonely Attack, and I don't know how many chapters are in Lonely Attack. I should look it up. But it's ridiculous that it's still a going manga at this point. I want to look this up. Now I want to fucking look it up and see if I can. Let's see if I can find how many chapters manga has. Looking it up now. Trying to find it. Where is it? Somebody is. Let me see if I can figure this out. I don't know. I don't remember who's publishing it, so I can't look up the number right off the top of my head. So my apologies. This worked out. This did not work out the way I was intending it to work out. But anyway, Lonely Attack on a Different World currently has 241 chapters. That's an isekai that is just gone way beyond where it should have. 240 chapters for a story about the one guy when the class gets sent, one guy doesn't pick up any good skills. He picks up a bunch of crappy ones and goes off to live by himself. And then shit happens and shit keeps happening and it goes from there. But the first dozen, 2 dozen, 3 dozen chapters are him just making life work for himself alone. But that hasn't been the case for well over 150 chapters. And it's wild that thing is still going. She's okay. We got our gun here attached there. And so this isn't going anywhere, which is nice. And we have the top half of this kit done. So I don't know what's this going to be. This is going to be... These are components for the feet. We're moving on to the feet. I think I can put the shield... Yeah, the shield goes behind the arm. These arms are weird because they have to be, but they're weird. Anyway, we got a gun and we got our shield. This shield is it's not on the side of the arm, it's on the back of the arm, which I've always found odd, but whatever. But yeah, we got our gun, we got our shield. We've got our kit looking pretty good here. Top half of it done. Let's move on to the feet. And while we are working on the feet, I'm going to use some polycaps here. On D21 and D20. Now it's a part of the stream where I'm going to tell you about the anime that I have been watching. Oshi no Ko Season 2, Episode 7. We are still... This arc is still the stage play arc. And before I get into this episode, I read something that really resonated with me that I think... explains why some people are really cold on this particular season and other people are enjoying it. And that is, there's no real good equivalent to a stage play in the, the closest I can come up with is, there was a Beetlejuice cartoon and a RoboCop cartoon and, Police Academy had a cartoon. It's an established thing, like a movie or a series of movies. And then they made a cartoon of it. And it doesn't quite make sense. But if you're a fan of it, it's another way to watch something that exists for it. That's kind of like the Japanese and also Korean, but we'll stick with the Japanese stage play. Why a Japanese stage play? So a Japanese stage play is just a live action adaptation of a manga or an anime or a video game or something, and it's often a weird version of the script, and it's an adaptation just like anything else, and we don't really have that here. Like, there was a licensed musical about Harry Potter, like that exists. There have been like music, there was Beetlejuice the musical, that's kind of the closest thing, but this is like anything like that. Anything popular from any medium could have a stage play, could have multiple stage plays. There have been various productions in different eras for like Sailor Moon. Yes, Lashbrook. I guess the on ice shows, the Disney on Ice and Blank on Ice style of show is a bit of equivalent. Children's programming has that, right? That is kind of it. But in Japan, it's not just children. It's stuff for teens, it's stuff for adults. A stage play is just another way to see it, especially for manga that might not get an anime adaptation because the manga might be done, and generally, not always, but generally, you don't see anime adaptations of something that, because the anime is going to make money, but it also is there to promote the manga to increase manga sales. That's not always the case, but it's often the case. And then also light novel sales and all of that. And the stage play is an advertisement for those works, but it also is its own thing. So this season of Oshi no Ko is about a stage play based on a popular manga. Of course, a fictional manga. Most manga is fiction. Almost all manga is fiction, but you know what I mean. A thing that was made up called Tokyo Blade that does not exist. Lastbrook says, I watched the Utena stage play live stream last week, and they're incredible adaptations. Yes. So a lot of them are, just like, oh, there's some singing and dancing, but like, hey, the people who are in the people in the volleyball anime stage play are incredibly athletic, because even if there isn't a ball there a lot of the times, they're still jumping and they're still doing a dance that is an interpretation of a fucking volleyball match for Haikyuu. Prince of Tennis, the Prince of Tennis stage play is like, there's two people playing one of the characters because they run around so much that they cast two actors for it because it's too fucking hard. The lead is just too blown out. So they have there's like an intermission for one of the Prince of Tennis stage plays. There was an intermission so they could switch actors because it was too much fucking work. Some of them are fucking gorgeous. So this anime, Oshi no Ko, which was a manga, is about a stage play, and it is to see the actors. Now, some people relate more to the first season with these characters, where they're actors, but they're doing like a reality show, they're doing variety shows, they're trying to put out music, and it's more of an idol thing. In season 2, all our main characters and some new characters are introduced to working on a stage play, and we see the behind the scenes and like the actor freaking out, or the writer freaking out about the adaptation, and it's different. And I can understand why it's not hitting as hard with some audience members as the previous season is. Now, for me, it's a different story. I've said this before. I'm a broken record about this. The thing I like about that is it is the juxtaposition of this young man trying to figure out what it means to be an entertainer, not to be a better entertainer, because he needs to be better at blending in so that he can rise in the ranks of entertainment industry and eventually meet his birth father, so he can figure out why his birth father set up his mother to die. Also, reminder that he's a fucking grown adult that got reincarnated as a child, along with his sister, who is a reincarnated child. They don't know that each other is reincarnated. He doesn't know that his former patient, who introduced him to the world of idols, is also his sister now. And it's important to remember that Kana is a young girl who then died, a teenager who died and then was reincarnated in a new body. that is important to remember for this chapter of it, especially because shit's weird. I mean, shit's totally weird in this thing. Anyway, Kana and Kamoshida, who sucks, have a scene, and Kana is kind of ad-libbing with him, and kind of playing it up, and it's going well. She's doing well in this. This is not her forte, the kind of stage production, but she seems to be doing pretty well. And then we have a scene with Akane, and she's performing as the princess. And then we get more from the mangaka, Abiko, talking about thinking overhead thoughts about how the expectations for the play and for Princess Seiya and the portrayal, and other people are doing their roles, including Aqua, our main guy. Seems like Kana's doing well. Kana and Akane have their scene together, and these two have had a lot of not begrudging respect. And at one point, it was like Akane seems obsessed with Kana, seems obsessed with befriending and kind of belittling Kana's acting style, and it's been weird. There's been tension and drama there. And at first, it was like, is this because Akane is growing a close relationship with Aqua? And so then the thing about his sister being there is a rivalry. Is that what's going on? No, that doesn't actually seem to be what's going on. Okay, well, what else could it be? We kind of learned a little bit more finally in here. Kana just wonders why Akane is so bitter about her, and apparently it is a rivalry. But the reason why Akane is an actress is because as a child, she admired the child actor that was Akane. Or Kana, I should say. So Akane basically got into the business because she had an interest in acting, and her parents were like, well, if you become an actress, you might get to meet your hero someday, which is a weird thing and very manipulative, but that's what happened. Akane trains. She wants to be like Kana. And then she has she meets someone, thinks that for a second from behind that Akane is Kana, and says some weird shit to her, and she doesn't quite know how to understand it. And then she finds out that Kana has been very disillusioned about the world of acting. Kana is basically, this audition is rigged. It is just going through the motions. She already has the job, and she thinks that's for the best. The love she had for the business has kind of been eked away by people who are telling her how to act and how to respond. A reminder to us that Kana was a young adult who is now a child through reincarnation, but it wasn't like she ever had a time where she hadn't had the chance to get, before she died, hadn't had the chance to be disillusioned by the industry. Now she is doing it as a young person. And it's a bummer. And then also, apparently, in this interaction, Kana basically just says, hey, stop copying me. Stop trying to imitate me. Which breaks Akane's heart. So the reason that Akane has been pushing so much is that Akane is trying to get the performance that she fell in love with from Kana out of Kana. And in the middle of this scene that's happening here, this flashback was way longer, but I've kind of condensed it a bit. Akane, through her acting, is trying to reach out to Kana to pull Kana back to the Kana that her acting style that Akane fell in love with, and that encouraged her to become an actor. But Kana catches herself and just starts playing. She basically goes back to the supporting role. She goes back to the way that she has been playing the character, the way that the style that she has been using for all this time. Akane is upset about this, of course, because she thought she was reaching her. And then after the play, she tells Akane wonders if she's just being so selfish because like maybe she should just support Kana, but she eventually tells Aqua a bit about what happened there, and says that she wants to outshine the Kana she idolizes. Not this Kana. She wants to be better than the version of Kana that she saw years ago. And then Aqua's just like, I'll help you out. Motivations for Aqua here in a bunch of these episodes have been shaky because he is ostensibly, he does want to get better as an actor. He just wants to rise up the ranks. So him doing anything that doesn't benefit, like him getting to play into a good position does selfishly benefit him. The stuff with Aqua is interesting because it is just like him trying to help someone that he has like a good friendship with. And sometimes we get the sense that he does care and want to support Kana, but like not all the time. It's not an always thing because he is pretty focused. So again, sometimes this stuff is confusing. Or sometimes the motivations are confusing, but they're humans, so of course. Overall, I thought the acting on display here, I'll give props to the voice actors. The voice actors are doing an incredibly difficult job. So these voice actors who are adults are playing young people who are actors. Actors playing actors is tough. So they're playing actors who, and I'll say this, the actress who is playing Kana, so this actor is playing a teenager in the body of a teenager, a died and reincarnated person. She is playing an actor who is playing an acting style that is foreign to their original acting style. It's layered in a way that is very impressive, and I think everyone is doing a very good job. But I also want the murder mystery. Like, part of this is just me waiting around for the murder mystery part. That is the thing that I am more excited about than anything else. I think the performances are well done. I think this is interesting. I also think that the acting performances are really strong, and that adds a lot to the whole presentation of this. But it is funny to remember that this is a manga writer and artist, like a mangaka, dealing with his own insecurities about his work being adapted, and we are watching the adaptation of that. So it is also fun to remember that stuff is also going on in the midst of all these other things. Is that this is a mangaka writing about a mangaka who is worried about their work being adapted into something. And we were watching the adaptation of that. So, some interesting stuff. I don't know if I rambled there at the end. Oshinoko is still... Oshinoko, like, I don't often talk about season 2 or season 3 or whatever of a thing, but this series does feel like there's something interesting about it that I always come back to and want to chat about, even if it is, again, like, there's so much fucking context for it that, it does require me to do almost every episode a lot of like, okay, so the thing with this show is this. Whereas like some of the other things like Dungeon People, I just have to say our main character is a human that works at a dungeon that is like run like a business. And we go, okay. And my dear friend Nokotan, explanations cannot help with that because it is a nonsense program. I should also state, Now is the part of the stream where I want to hear from you. What are you watching? What are you playing right now? What are you up to? What are you into? While I give you time to write that, I will tell you that I will still be covering my dear friend Nokotan on Mondays, even though it suddenly changed halfway through the season. The episode dates changed, and now it comes out during the week, I believe on a Wednesday. Originally, one television station in Japan had early exclusive to the episodes, and then it would air on another station and for streaming. And apparently that deal was only for the first couple episodes of the season, and now it's a worldwide release at the same time. I don't know why that is. It's weird, but that happened where like last week's episode was suddenly out like in the middle of the week, and I was like, what? Oh, okay. So I'm still going to cover that on Monday, because right now I have a show I watch for Thursday, a show I watch for Saturday, and a show I watch for Monday. And then I like get caught up on I Parry Everything or Dalian and Bloom like every couple episodes. And then otherwise just talk about manga. Nathan Explosion subscribed at tier 2. That's 25 months on a 16-month streak. Thank you so much, Nathan. Let's roll the Bear Cave Lego site tier 2 blue emote in chat. Thank Nathan for their continued support. Appreciate you very much, Nathan. Thank you for that. 25 months is so many months. Also, thank you for being a tier 2. Enjoy that cool emote. Get that me is a Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan. So that's my note. I'm still going to just talk about Nokotan on Mondays. That show continues to be wild and weird, and I just have to dodge spoilers. I could watch it now, and I probably should watch it and then just take notes, but I'll watch the day before or the day of. Like if Oshi no Ko came out on Tuesdays, I'd still probably wait until Wednesday or Thursday to talk about it on a Thursday, just because otherwise I would fear that I would miss some stuff. One thing I didn't talk about as I'm building this kit was that the arms were weird to put together, but they did not involve any stickers, and that's nice. And the feet don't have any stickers. That's also nice. But I want to hear from you, friends. Now's the part of the stream where you tell me, what are you up to? What are you into? There are a couple decks in Hearthstone right now that absolutely suck ass to play against. There is a Hunter Secrets deck that is popular in low play where I am at, and it absolutely is not fun to play against. There is an Exodia Mage again, which I fucking hate so much. There's a couple new cards that make the Exodia Mage even easier to do. Exodia in Hearthstone just means that you play basically your whole hand and you just win in one turn. It is like collecting all 5 pieces of Exodia in Yu-Gi-Oh! That is just a terminology that is picked up parlance. But there is a mage deck where you basically just start the turn and then play almost your entire deck, and you just make an unkillable board that then makes all of your attack cards cost nothing, and then you just kill people. And it's not interactive and it's not fun. But I have a fun combo deck that isn't good but is very fun, that if I can survive long enough in Warlock, wins. I have been starting to play decks that have alternate win conditions that are not sending your opponent's life total to 0. They are like, if you do this, you win. One of them is a Warlock deck that I've been playing right now, where you basically activate a death rattle that then puts 3 cards in your deck, and then you play a card that pulls those 3 cards out of your deck, and then you kill those cards, and that's the 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse. You kill all 4 Horsemen, and then you just win. And here's the thing. If it was consistent, then I would feel bad, but it is very inconsistent. It is not a good deck. It is hard to pull off the combo. It is hard to stay alive to pull off the combo. The combo is expensive and costs a lot of mana, and also it costs health. So not only do you have to get to turn like 9 most of the time, you can do it on turn like 7 if you pull all the cards that you need correctly. But you still also need enough of a health total to then spend probably, I think you need to have what, 6, you need to have 10 health because you need to spend 9 health to do it. So it is it's a bad deck, but when it works, it's very fun. So I'm kind of playing those kind of decks just to do that. It's still a good time. I'm still having fun with the various things and things in out there. I downloaded the Muckingham files for the summer update that was accidentally sent out early for Power Wash Simulator. So I have 2 new things. We're going to do that in the end of the month because I said that next Tuesday I will be checking out Odada. I don't know how to pronounce it. Oddada. And Gordlets. We'll be checking that out next Tuesday because those both just came out and I got codes for both of them. It is a not sponsored stream. It is just looking at 2 games that came out this month that both sent me codes. But again, I am not sponsored by them in any way, shape, or form, but I did not pay for either of these games. So I'm getting both of those in. So we'll look at that next week. And then the following week, we will look at the Power Wash Simulator Muckingham Files 4 because I enjoy playing Power Wash Simulator. And that also gives me more time to make sense and make work the mods for Shredder's Revenge, TMNT Shredder's Revenge. I do want to look at mods and cheats in Shredder's Revenge because I think that would be fucking fun, but I got to figure out how to make those work. So that's going to require a bit more effort on my part. Lord Crashin says, I've been playing some Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Red Rescue Team on the GBA. Oh, nice. On my Analog Pocket. That is a fun... Yeah, the Mystery Dungeons are a pretty fun little roguelike games. I played a couple of them. I don't know if I don't think I played that one per se, but I have played a couple of them. That feels like a fun game for the Analog Pocket. Lord Crashton figured out it was probably the only Pokemon game with split releases where the other version is not on the same platform as Blue Rescue was a DS version. Oh, yeah, so they had a GBA version and a DS version. I might have played the Blue Rescue. I played a Pokemon Dungeon game on the DS. I don't know which one, because there were a bunch of them out there. And it might have also been the 3DS. I don't know. I don't remember. All right, let's get some of these components together. Some of the legs we can build at the same time. So we are building some of the legs here at the same time. We're moving on from the feet to the legs. Lasper says, I haven't played a lot of stuff this week because I spent the past couple of nights doing some old-fashioned toy hunting and managed to stamp a pretty hard-to-find Megatron. Oh, nice. Hell yeah. Well, I'm glad you found your Megatron. I'm glad your toy hunting worked well. Good luck to you if you're doing any more. If you're trying to complete a collection or just see what's up. Nice. As I said, I mowed the lawn today, all front, back, and sides yesterday, and that wrecked me for the whole fucking day. And then I just watched wrestling. Dynamite was pretty good. Some of the promos were bad. Some of the promos were good. Most of the matches were good. Even if I thought the finish of one of them was, I mean, 2 of them were like kind of sucky ass finishes that I was like, oh, really? Okay. And then some stuff got confirmed for All In, which I am still excited for. I still think All In is going to be good. And then the announcement that next year All In will not be in London. All In will be in Dallas, basically Arlington, Texas area, the Dallas-Fort Worth area, will host All In Texas. It will be next year in July. A couple weeks after, presumably, because of the June date, probably Forbidden Door will be right before it. Hopefully Forbidden Door will be a little earlier next year. I'm really afraid they're going to do because next year we're already getting one more than we had this year because They're doing Dynasty in Japan, but they haven't said if they're going to do 2 Dynasties or just do that one. There's so many fucking AEW shows. They better keep that stadium closed or people are going to die. Yeah, I would say in June, you want to have a closed roof for that because it's going to be rough. But yeah, they're going to do a show there. That seems neat. And then I don't know. That was the big announcement. And it was a fucking press release and a tweet. They didn't even say it on TV last night. They didn't say it on Collision in Texas on Saturday. They didn't say it at All In London. Surprising. It was strange. Nathan says, I'm still playing Street Fighter 6 and Elden Ring DLC. Hell yeah. Since Dan is on a month break, I started reading Tokyo Ghoul and Centuria. Nice. That is going to do it for the stream. Tokyo Ghoul is a series that I always wanted to get into. I've started both the manga and the anime like 3 or 4 times, and it's just too gory for me. I can deal with some blood, but it's too much for me. But I hope you're having a great time with it, Nathan. But that is going to do it for our stream tonight. But we are going to end how we always end, with a raid. We're going to go find somebody doing cool shit out there that we want to go spend some time with, and we're going to go give them some love, because that's the least we could do, is we could keep the party going. So let's see who's out there that we want to go raid and go hang out with. I did want to just say really briefly, thank you everybody that came out on Tuesday for me watching old wrestling. I had a ball with that. Let's see. How long is... I don't think we've done this. Let's see. How long have they been going? Oh, I don't know how much longer they're going to be going. But anyway, Evil Uno has been raising money to fight cancer, doing a fundraiser stream here. So we're going to go raid Evil Uno. Evil Uno fucking rules. So we'll go see him, Evil Uno from AEW. Right now is playing the that fucking game where you climb and you're chained to other people. And he's doing that with some other pro wrestlers, which is very cool. So let's go hang out with Evil Uno. But yeah, thanks everybody, speaking of wrestling, that hung out with me on Tuesday as I watched old wrestling. I had a ball watching old wrestling. I don't know how much longer Evil's going to be going, but at the very least we can go hang out with him. And if you can, please donate. If not, just enjoy the good wrestlers playing the game where people fall off things and blame each other for it. Thank you all so much for being here. I hope you have a great rest of your night. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye.